Welcome back to another episode. I'm your host, Sosaia. I have a special guest,
My name is Christian Gogo.
and this is episode 13 of the Mix Wash Podcast. Hope everybody's week was great. This is a great episode. Speaking of weeks and great times, Christian, how was your week?
I had a great weekend as well, or week actually. Hopefully the same as the viewers or listeners.
Yeah, I think they're listeners because it'd be
Definitely
pretty.
viewing this.
Yeah, I mean they're just watching the Spotify bar just go along like, wow, we're on second number 37. Now I
Yeah,
have to line it up.
That's actually a really nice album picture. I'm just gonna watch this the entire time as I'm listening to this. Yes.
Yeah. Anyways, how was your week? What did you do this week?
Mainly just went to the gym. That's my highlight of the day.
Really, highlight of
Right.
every day is going to the gym.
Yeah.
What is it? What about the gym makes it so great? Makes it the best part of your day?
I would say the gym for me, the highlight of it is just being able to release stress and focus on improving your performance as an individual in your physical capabilities. Bam.
That was maybe the most words I've ever heard used to describe. Yeah, I like getting buff.
Yeah, pretty much. There you go.
When did you start going to the gym? Like consistently. And what made you start doing that?
Consistently, I would say it started right after basic training. As you know, I am a soldier in the United States Army. So after basic training, I kind of got into the gym and realized I like being fit and staying healthy.
So before you joined the military, were you in the gym a lot?
No, not at all. Actually, just a few times, but mostly just working. So
Oh, okay.
didn't get to do that.
What do you think? How have you changed since then? Do you think the gym has anything to do with like your mental discipline and the aging and the progress of your maturity over that period?
I think that's a great question. I think it's mainly around your mindset as well as your goals. Originally, when I first started, I just wanted to get stronger so I could beat up other people. Which, by the way, disclaimer, I'm not a bully or a mean person. So, and I've never beat anybody up.
I can also
Actually,
vouch for
sorry,
that.
John.
I can actually vouch for that. Christian is a very kind person. Maybe one of the most kind people. Actually, not even maybe. Definitely one of the most kind people I've ever met. He goes out of his way to help other people. He gives wonderful advice, and that's why he's on the show today. Anyways, please continue
Thank you
about
for that.
the maturity.
Yeah, continuing on that, it's mostly your mentality as well as your goals. But before I joining the military, I didn't have the right goals. It was just to get stronger to be stronger than others. But really, it should have been get stronger to be stronger than the guy in the mirror
Okay.
from yesterday.
Is that something that you think about actively?
Yes,
When you're in the gym?
actively. So every time there's a mirror, don't look at anybody else. Just look at yourself and think about how you're going to be better than that person right now.
Not, oh my God, don't be staring at chicks in the gym. Not a good habit. And also, don't be staring at other guys like, dang, he's so much stronger than me. I've done that. Because when I first started going to the gym, and I saw the ripped dude who's like curling 150 like it's 5 pounds, and you're just like, damn, he already won. What is he doing here? He already beat the video game.
Pretty much.
He needs to bring it back to Blockbuster and turn the video game back in. But I definitely hurt me negatively to see someone so much greater than me just like whooping me. But I think it's better to not pay attention to anybody in the gym and just focus on making yourself better. Would you agree with that statement?
Yeah, of course. And to build on you noticing like bigger people, generally I would try to look down and look at myself, but sometimes the biggest guy or I had an instance where the biggest guy came up to me and asked if I could spot him. So I'm like, okay, yeah, I'll spot him. Hopefully he's not doing too much weight. I look over and this man's inclined barbell 315. Like I can't even lift that on a good day, like deadlifting. So I kind of just went over there, but after helping him out, I realized that was kind of like a boost in my confidence, because in a way, like I was in a convenient location, but he did pick me to help him spot because I was doing the exercises correctly, and he noticed that, and he mentioned like, "Oh, your shoulder presses are
Oh, look
correct."
good.
Yeah, yeah,
Okay, so that's another thing. Would you say focus on form over weight every time?
yeah. Most definitely, every time, form and technique is the way to go. I always try to praise or preach that form is the most important aspect of lifting weights or being in the gym. Like I will do the form correctly, but if I need to do 10 pounds, that's what I'm gonna do.
Okay, because if you if you flop the form, if you forget the form and just go for the weight, you're just gonna hurt yourself.
Of course, yeah.
But if you focus on the form, the weight will come naturally.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Because you're doing it correctly, and if you're doing it with 10 pounds, you're like, okay, this is correct. So I think I could do 15 pounds, and then it would get tougher for you, but you'd still be doing it correctly.
And does correct form correlate with more muscle growth?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Because if you're doing the wrong form, you're trying to do a bicep curl, but you're working on your glutes because you're squeezing your glutes for some reason. Not to mention that squeezing your glutes for almost every exercise is optimal.
Really?
Yeah. Well, I mean, for me,
Christian's got his glutes packed.
yeah, you got push, pull, legs, and the glute day. So
Straight up, we never skip glute day.
absolutely not. Glute day today and tomorrow.
Yeah, glute day every day.
But going
Good
back
pun intended.
oh
But
wow, unintentional. Very very sorry about that. You lost me.
dang, it's all right. I was gonna ask, is the when you're in the military, well, you're not in any other branch, but in the army, do they teach you form over weight, or what do they teach you when it comes to the mental part of training? When in regards to physical training mentally, but not in regards to like AIT where they're teaching you stuff for your MOS. Is the culture just throw the weight on there, and, or is it focus on form and let's build some muscle?
Well, I'm glad you asked that question because I think there's a stigma or an idea that every soldier looks like GI Joe from GI Joe, which is a definitive misconception. So we have soldiers of every type, and I lost my train of thought. Going back to
Well, what I essentially asked was like, what's the mentality that they try to teach you about lifting weights in the army, and then you started talking about the fact that there's a misconception that every soldier looks like freaking Liam Neeson and Taken. They're just
yeah.
built out the barn. And actually, this was a misconception I had, and you had to prove me wrong earlier. But not every soldier is as active and as fit as you, nor is that a standard that they're held to, right?
Yes, because there is a minimum and a maximum, and actually, I sometimes try to shoot for the maximum and get a few points under the maximum, so it's achievable, but I don't reach it, even as active as I am. Not trying to like boost myself up, but
But I mean, factually, you are a very active and very fit person. I don't think there's any like ego stretching here. You're just like you physically are that way. So another question I have is why is there a maximum on the exam?
just to achieve maximum points for
Oh,
like
okay.
for say a promotion. Like okay, we have this soldier right here, Sosaia. He's doing great on his shooting range, but he's not doing. He's barely hitting the minimum, or he is hitting the minimum for the PT test. Now we have Christian over here, and he's hitting the max for PT and the middle of shooting at the range.
Oh, okay.
So we're gonna pick Christian because overall his records is showing his performance.
Oh,
as a
okay.
whole.
So when it comes to promotions, they'll even look at PT.
Yes, yes.
So a physically fit soldier, like being physically fit, can put you farther up the line for promotion.
Yes.
That's amazing.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's actually really
it's
cool.
not required, but it is highlighted.
Okay. So if you're going for a promotion and your battle buddy is that the correct term?
Yeah, actually, that was correct. Wow, I applaud you.
Wow, thank you. Your battle buddy is also going for the promotion, and they look at you on the shooting range. They look at your like AIT scores,
Mm-hmm.
your mental capabilities, and they say you're all equal. It'll come down to that physical aspect.
Yeah, it would be most likely the last resort, but yes, it would be certifications, time in service, time in grade, as well as everything else, and then it would be PT score, at the range shooting, and just very in depth and specific measurements.
Okay. Back to the original question. What mentality do they deliver to you in regards to physical training?
So in regards to physical training, the Army is very specific on how they do things. So before you do any kind of physical type of training or movement, you're gonna have a very detailed explanation of the training. So for a push-up, they go very in depth. Like you gotta know that like, your elbows gotta be tucked to your side, and you keep your head, the back of your head straight all the way down to your ankles, pretty much. So they're very detailed about it before you even get close to doing the exercise or training.
So before you're even on your hands and toes to get into push-up position, they've got 3 instructors in front of you showing you exactly what the form is like.
Yes.
4 or 5 times, every detail explained. So is it just a neutral explanation? Is what I'm trying to get out of you is like, what is the culture like when it comes to physical training in the Army? But then also, I guess there is a very differing answer here because you were in Korea and you're also in Texas now, correct? Okay. Is there any difference between the Army culture just in those 2 different places?
Is it just targeting the physical training?
No, not even. Forget that part because that's a really hard question to answer, I assume.
Okay.
Is the Army culture different depending on what base you go to?
Absolutely. I think that's the target answer and question that you were looking for is, like, for physical training, it's the same across the entire Army, but for every base, it's going to be a different environment, a different kind of culture, like you were saying, as well as, like, different types of units. So I'm in a signal unit. It's definitely going to be a different atmosphere and environment than an artillery unit or an infantry unit.
Can you explain what signal means?
Signal is... you see your Wi-Fi? How are you watching this YouTube video? That's what signal is, pretty much. So we supply the signal to all the soldiers, depending on base or on the front lines.
Even at the base?
Yes.
Like, when you go back to Texas, you're supplying everybody with...
Not my unit directly, but yes.
Oh, okay. So there are signal soldiers providing signal to everybody.
Yes.
Is the Wi-Fi crazy?
You would think, right? But
no?
No.
Dang, that's crazy. What made you choose signal?
And the most honest answer, I had a good bonus. Good sign-up bonus.
So is the sign-up bonus different depending on which MOS you pick?
Yes, as well as timing. So if the Army is looking for that type of soldier MOS, they're gonna
pay extra.
Pay extra, exactly.
Okay, how much extra? Percentage-wise, you don't have to give.
So maximum numbers. Would be like 40,000. Sign-on bonus for 6 or 4 years.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's a really good deal.
Is that always the enlist contract time? Is it always 4 to 6 years?
Generally, but I believe when Trump was in office, he had a 3-year contract.
Okay.
That was possible, and sometimes I think I've seen 2, or that might just be strictly for reenlistments.
Oh, okay. Reenlistments can be 2 years.
Yeah.
That's wonderful. Speaking of reenlisting, what are your plans as it comes to the military sometime soon?
I'm still debating. The Army, the military in general, actually has been a great stepping stone and opportunity for me. So I'm debating if I want to go to college, or get out and go to college and go to a university in person. That's the best way I learn, or if I want to keep pursuing the military as my career. But
if you went down the military route, what would you end up doing? What's your end goal in the military?
For the military, I would want to do the 20 years, most likely still go to college, but online. That would be more tougher on me personally because I learn better in person, but then I'll try to go the green to gold program, which would mean I would become enlisted into an officer.
Okay.
So that would be end goal.
Officers, I assume. How many ranks up the line is that from where you are at the moment?
So enlisted, I'm enlisting currently. It would be a separate tree. So enlisted is like E1 to E9.
Okay.
And then officer is his own 01 to 09 and whatever.
Oh, geez.
Yeah, so they're separate, but officers are more above enlisted in a way.
Oh, okay. So an 01
beats an E9 pretty much.
Beats an E9?
Well, not necessarily beats, but it's...
They get in an argument who outranks the other one.
Generally the 01, but if someone's an E9, that means they usually have around 18 years.
Oh, okay. So if O1
01,
walks in
yeah.
and looks at this
Yeah.
E9 and is
There's a
like,
certain level of respect going on
oh,
the
okay.
E9. So there's definitely a difference because an 01 can be fresh out of college,
Okay.
about 23 or 24 years old.
If
But an
you,
E9 requires so much seniority.
oh, okay. If you go into ROTC during high school, you enlist and they say you become an officer?
Oh, absolutely not. But that is a good.
Misconception?
No, it's actually ROTC provides you if you go into enlisted, you would then get PV2. You get the first rank up already when joining the military.
Oh, okay. Because
Yeah.
I feel like I've heard do your 4 years of ROTC and you'll become an officer when you join the military. And I was like, that is obscene.
Unless I've heard something different, I would definitely go back to high school to do my 4. But I did 3.5 actually, or 2.5.
How did you end up just doing 2.5? Which 2.5?
For ROTC in high school.
Yeah.
I'm not too sure, but I did 2.5, and when I went to basic training, I was a PV2.
Oh, that's wonderful.
So doing ROTC gives you a little boost or a good nudge if you were to join the military.
Oh, okay. If you were to get out of college, or not get out of college, but if you were to get out of the military and go to college, what are some of the options that you would choose? Like degree-wise, or what are some of your end goals?
Well, degree-wise, I would probably pick something closely related to signal, just because I'm more knowledgeable
On that thing already.
Exactly. So I already have experience. So if I go to college, be like, okay, well, I actually learned about some of these fiber optic cables, so I understand fiber optics.
Yeah, that actually can give you a really large push, especially in today's college environment, where knowing something, they honestly might just give you the credits if you can prove that you know it.
Exactly.
I know WGU Nevada has a system like that, but they're a medical school. Okay. I know that there are some schools out there that are beginning to branch out into something like that. Personally, I'm going to Columbia University in New York City.
Well done.
I announced that in the last episode. Now, I didn't apply yet, but I'm going to get accepted.
Yeah, as long as you have that right mindset, you're already on there. You're already graduating. I already see it.
I'm gonna call you. I'm gonna be like, I'm out in Brooklyn. I got that Empire State of Mind. I hope somebody got that joke.
Please play that song as you're listening.
Never mind, because then you got to click off the video, and that's not so good. You said you were interested in computer science, perhaps, but then you said you don't want to sit at a desk all day.
Yes.
So, can you tell me where you got interested in computer science from? Is it just because of signal?
So, computer science, I was always interested just growing up. I loved all the little details for the computers, I guess, just building them. But like what you said a moment ago, I don't want to just be confined to a desk.
I think in the future, and what I mean by future isn't just like, oh, in the future, 100 years from now when we're on Mars. No, I just mean in the near future, in your lifetime, there is probably going to be a bunch of CS&A jobs, computer science and application jobs that don't have to do with sitting at a desk. If that was an option, do you think you would still choose computer science if sitting at a desk wasn't the like con?
Most definitely. I think I need a new adventure every once in a while. I can't be confined to the same thing and just sitting at a desk. Well, primarily, but if you're saying that I could not be at a desk and studying computer science, then I would.
That's 100% your option.
I would most definitely pursue
What are some of the other options?
Similar to computer science, I was looking into cybersecurity or becoming a certified ethical hacker.
Okay, so white hat hacking.
Yes.
That's actually what it's called. It's called white hat hacking.
Yeah. Interesting that you know that.
Well, I've been on the internet a couple times, okay. Yeah. And also, it caught my ear when we were having a conversation earlier today about this similar thing. You mentioned computer science, and I think under my astronomy and astrophysics and cosmology, I want to do something in computer science because I think it's really cool. Like programming stuff and creating new software, because that's the future. Along with astrophysics and astronomy, I think they're all going to become the same thing because I need a computer to pilot the rocket ship to get me to Mars.
Right?
So I got to design the rocket ship. There's the astronomy and astrophysics, and then I got to design the computer to drive the rocket ship.
So what made you want to pursue a degree in, you said, astronomy and astrophysics?
Um, I've always loved space. And when I took physics my sophomore year of high school, I took AP Physics. So that's a college level high school class.
Yeah.
It's a college level physics class that you take in high school. I absolutely fell in love with it. I'd always, you watch like how the universe works when you're a kid, or you watch all the science stuff on whatever channel is on. And I had always thought it was really cool that they could calculate what was going to happen given just the information at the beginning. Like, they give you a problem where it's like, Johnny throws a ball off of a roof at 20 miles per hour. Where's it going to land? And then it has like a bunch of diagrams.
Right.
And then you can just use a bunch of equations to describe these things. What made me want to do astrophysics even more after I took physics was the fact that most of the stuff I learned in physics is actually wrong.
Oh.
So this is how it goes. Isaac Newton, very famous philosopher, natural philosopher in his day, but we would call him a physicist now. He writes down all of these laws for physics that work in very simple situations. But when you go into space and you have these really extreme cases of gravity, like a black hole, his laws no longer apply because it was not designed under such extreme conditions. He designed physics based off of stuff that happens on Earth, not stuff that happens in space. So that's where Albert Einstein and Stephen Hawking come in. And, well, just in this case, just for the improvement, Albert Einstein creates the theory of general relativity, both theories of relativity, which is general relativity and special relativity. And those are the most prominent and largest examples of physics in today's world because you can use them in every case that Newton's laws worked and more.
Okay, so...
And then on top of that, one more, quantum mechanics is like the exact opposite of relativity. So relativity was for big space. Quantum mechanics describes stuff on the atomic level. That's where Albert Einstein stuff doesn't even work. Yeah, so there's like these three levels of physics, and I just want to dive deeper. I already got the first one. I've got a little bit of the second one. I want to get all the way to the theoretical physics at the end. So I got to go through all this to get to that, and that's my dream. Eventually, my goal is Neil deGrasse Tyson, but it's me.
I could see it. I could see you getting there.
Yeah. What's weird is that's actually Plan B. Plan A is you'll see me in the NBA.
Right on.
And then right after I retire, I'm going right back to college.
Okay, but I wanted to go a little bit more in depth with something you were saying earlier. If Isaac Newton was provided the resources and knowledge of space, because he was unaware at the time, correct?
Yeah, like there was just no way he could know that these things occur.
Do you think he would have been able to
decipher that?
Yeah,
decipher
the physics.
Is an absolute genius. He invented calculus.
That is impressive. Yes.
Well, okay, and let it be known. I mean, discovered, not invented.
Okay, correct.
Because numbers function the way they do, regardless of whether or not we know they function that way. He discovered calculus over 2 weeks. The entirety of it. It takes a student 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, like 9 months to learn what he did in 2 weeks. I'm pretty sure if he knew more about the way the universe worked, just slightly more given that information, I'm pretty sure he could have worked it out.
That is impressive, yes.
Yeah, that is absolutely insane. But yeah, that's a whole other thing. That's a whole other thing. Do you have any further questions along that line?
No, not specifically yet, without going further down the line.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to talk about physics too much.
Yeah, without confusing anybody.
You can tell I'm a little excited. I love talking about physics.
Well, actually, do you think it's possible that there's another type of physics that we haven't yet discovered?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Do you have a slight idea or hint of...
Yes, it's related to string theory and knot theory, which are Not something I'm going to explain
I
right
was like,
now.
here we go. We got him
because
started.
we're going to be here for another
Yeah.
45 minutes. But I think it's along the lines of more dimensions.
Ah.
So
Wow.
we exist in a 3-dimensional world. 4 dimensions if you count time, right? So the 3 dimensions we live in physically are like, okay, I can move up and down, I can move left and right, and then I can move perpendicular to both of those. So back and forth.
Right.
That's the 3-dimensional world we live in. But then I can only exist in the 3-dimensional world at a specific time. Think about it. Because if I say, meet me at Qdoba, and I don't give you a time, you never know when to go to Qdoba. You never exist at Qdoba at the same time that I exist at Qdoba if we're not there at the same time. That's actually why the word space-time is used to describe a lot of stuff in physics. Because you can't have 2 things at the same space without them being there at the same time.
That's actually a little mind-blowing.
Yeah. When I first learned that, dude, my mind was all over the walls. Absolutely
Right?
splattered. I look like JFK.
Oh, God. Yep, I definitely laughed at that. That's a good one.
I wanted to ask you this question, and I think this should be told to everybody so that they understand this. As a soldier specifically, you're not allowed to discuss politics, correct?
Yes. Openly.
Openly, and that means you're not allowed to give your opinion on a politician's actions biased wise, like in terms of choosing a party, but it's like completely okay for you to talk about what happened factually. As long as you don't say, I think he's wrong.
Yes.
You can just say, he did this.
You're right.
So you can relay the information, but not talk about it.
Yes. As a soldier.
Giving your own opinion as a soldier.
Yes.
Does that change when you're not at base? Or not in your uniform?
I think some other soldiers would think otherwise, but seeing it as I'm a soldier 24/7. So if they were to call me back right now, I would.
You would dip out because you are still a soldier.
Yeah, exactly.
I also think it is like if I were to ask you like what is your opinion on Joe Biden, that would be inappropriate because this podcast is permanent, right? This is going to be online when you go back to being a soldier.
Exactly.
And your opinion is still going to be out here. Do you think that mindset is present among all soldiers?
Oh, no, definitely not.
Not at all?
It's on both sides of the spectrum for that. So we have some soldiers, the majority of soldiers are in the middle where we don't take sides. It's just unbiased.
As you should?
As you should, right?
Okay.
Unless you're
private. Well, actually, wait a second. As you should, is that in terms of it's in our contract to not talk about politics? Or is that just something you did on your own and most soldiers do on their own because you are an extension of the United States?
I think you definitely hit it on the spot. It's for both because it's not specifically written in a contract, but it is an extension. You are an extension of the Army. I am the face physically of the Army of the United States.
And since you are an extension of the United States and the United States is run by the president, you listen to whoever's at the top regardless of their politics.
Like no matter what I think, I'm still going to follow that order, you know? You can't undermine your leadership because then the whole organization will crumble.
Exactly. So as a soldier, it doesn't matter who's at the top. You're going to stay neutral.
Absolutely.
Okay.
As a soldier. Should.
As a soldier should. Are you allowed to say that?
Come again?
Are you allowed to say that a soldier should do something as a soldier?
Yeah.
I actually think that's good leadership. In fact. You're making an example. And it's not a bad example either. Though I am biased. You are my cousin.
Yeah.
Like, we are related.
Hold on.
I think that's a wonderful way to put that. A soldier should listen to his leadership. And in a way, you are being a leader at the moment. And if any of your soldiers, not your soldiers, if any of your peers who are also soldiers listen to this, I think they should listen to that advice. Well, regardless.
Thank you.
You're going to get a promotion after this.
No, as all soldiers should be, but thank you for that. But
are there soldiers that put their politics openly within base? Or is that so frowned upon that nobody does it?
Well, without boosting, or how do I say this? Generally, it's not seen on base. The base is just the operations, but you are free to go off post
Okay.
and practice your politics openly,
Openly. Okay.
out of uniform.
But does anybody practice their politics in uniform?
Well, sometimes
Have you ever seen it?
Not personally, but sometimes for, what is the term when you gather together? A peaceful
Protest.
protest, yes. So that'd be an example of what a soldier could do. And
Is a peaceful protest
Yes.
on base?
no, it would be off post.
Okay.
Most likely will never be a peaceful protest on base. Yeah,
So there's no politics on base at all.
absolutely not.
You've never seen any politics on base.
No, I have not.
That is beautiful. That actually surprises me very deeply. I'm moved right now.
As in,
hear that.
impressed in the army or the military as a
I'm
whole?
impressed.
Or?
Yeah, I'm impressed in. Well, everywhere you've been has never had politics, and that's crazy to me.
Mm-hmm.
It's crazy to hear that even the people who are as passionate as I imagine some soldiers are about their country, that they know how to keep it outside of business.
Yeah.
That's
As a soldier,
crazy.
you got to keep it professional, and you have a bunch of free things that you can't practice, but in private. So mainly religion, politics.
Oh, religion isn't even on base?
Well, yes, we do have religion, but I'm not saying like people are openly just picking their sides on religion.
Oh, okay, okay.
In a way.
Okay. Wow, that's crazy. That blows my mind that there's no politics on base at all. Because you said there's soldiers who don't even clean their room.
Yes. Well, yes.
Which there's another misconception. Not every soldier keeps everything clean, right?
Yes. At this time in history, yes.
Oh, okay.
In this moment, I would say.
At this very moment, how bad is it? How bad of a room have you seen?
I would not share that at the moment.
You would not?
No.
Okay. Dang, because you think they're going to listen to it and be like, dang, he talking about my room.
No. Just to keep it professional as a soldier.
As a soldier, oh, you pulling
since
the
you
soldier
brought this,
card on me.
Since you brought this upon me.
What's going on in Afghanistan? Do you know? Can you relay that information to me? Because earlier you had the factual information, and I know you can't give me politics, but if you could explain to me what's going on, that'd be great.
Well, I can't really explain what's going on, but if you were to explain it to me, I could probably elaborate
or like say yes or no.
Yeah, give you an idea of what maybe the thought process of what a soldier's going through.
Oh, okay. So, the United States chose to pull all of the troops out of Kabul. Yes. Out of Afghanistan, not just the capital city of Kabul.
Yes.
That happened.
Yes, that is correct.
Okay. The Taliban that we were combating for so many years retook the city of Kabul just as we left.
Yes.
Before or after we left? Do you know the details?
I'm not too sure on the specifics, but I believe it would be after. Or after we left, yes.
Now, the problem here is, this is something we wanted to look at on this podcast, is no matter what, we don't even have to say the president's name. Whatever the president chooses to do in a situation like this, the media will always criticize him for it. Regardless of which side the politics is on, the media is always going to make it look bad, right?
Absolutely. Like, to build on that, regardless of, like, their position, there's always going to be a side that says, that is wrong, this is right, you know?
Yeah, and it doesn't even matter if it aligns with their views sometimes. It just matters that the opposite side did it, so they're going to say that it was wrong.
Mm-hmm.
So, if we look at this example, you actually told me some information earlier about which presidents chose to do which about Afghanistan. You said it was Barack's choice that we should end what's going on in Afghanistan eventually,
mm-hmm.
right? And then Donald Trump put a date on it?
Yes.
Yes. Do you remember the date?
Not specifically, no.
Okay. But it was this year?
Yes.
It was this year.
Yes.
Okay. And then Joe Biden extended it to keep the troops there for a little bit longer. Okay.
Yes.
And then here's the thing: is we were talking about this earlier. If Joe Biden extends, if the president, let's just call him the president.
All right, here we go.
If the president extends the stay of American soldiers in Afghanistan, those opposed to him will say that he's risking American lives for non-American lives.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
If he pulls the soldiers out like he does, the side who opposes him is going to say he let all those people die.
Yes, and we're wasting time over there. Absolutely.
Yep.
There would always be a negative or an opposing side,
regardless of what he does.
Regardless of the situation and his decisions that he makes.
How do you beat that? How do you get around that? Do you think there's any way that a political figure could escape the jaws of those who oppose him?
I don't believe there is a one solution fits all, but I do believe that you have to have the mindset of you're not going to make everybody happy, okay? So when you're about to make your decision, you got to realize and think back to an individual as a human being, what is morally right as a human being? What is morally right for the human race?
Oh, I see what you mean. So when it comes to, dang, I kind of forgot what I was saying, but I think I got it.
Okay.
So there's no one solution fits all.
Yes.
If you were one of the people who was trying to, who got a say in politics, right? Which you do technically, which a soldier can vote, correct?
Correct.
Soldier, but that's also private information, I assume.
Yes.
Okay. Of course, it must be.
Yeah, I would. Not disclose any of that information. Yes.
Okay. Is it better to work with the side that you oppose in order to move the country forward? Or do you think it's more valuable to fight for your beliefs because you think those move the country forward? Do you think compromise is always going to beat non-compromise?
That was a really great question. Can I actually have you ask that again just so I can
When it comes to politics, does compromise beat non-compromise? Is it better to fight for your beliefs and prolong the problem, or to try to maybe sacrifice some of your beliefs to agree with the other side just a little bit, or somewhat work and negotiate so that the problem gets solved sooner? Maybe not in the optimal way that you preferred, but do you think compromise beats non-compromise? It's a tough question.
That is a tough question. I'm actually going to side with compromise beats not compromising.
Okay.
Because, like you mentioned, it would just prolong the problem. So now we have a problem. For example, the 20 years in Afghanistan, I'm not saying it was like prolonged or anything, but maybe this is seen as a compromise.
Is leaving. Okay, I see what you mean. Maybe this is the compromise. I think that's the best way you can say it without getting in trouble as a soldier, which is the priority here.
Yeah, priority is
go home and not get in trouble.
Yes.
All right. That was wonderful. That was excellent.
As impressive as that was, I think we covered just about 2 topics. So,
well, that's actually absolutely fine. I can tell you the listeners absolutely enjoy these episodes. They are gonna definitely want more out of this.
Yeah, as the listener, I hope from our conversation you were able to take something from this.
Yeah, okay. Well, let's go. One last topic.
Oh, okay. My bad. Listeners, keep listening. Or
we talked about this. What is your goal in life?
Oh, what is my goal in life? Well, can you give me an example of someone else's goal in life?
My goal, or not my goal, but a theoretical me. My theoretical goal is to affect my family in a manner that is positive, so that my legacy lives on for the generations of kids that come after me, so that they don't have to struggle anymore. That's a theoretical goal. What's your goal?
That was an impressive goal, actually, an amazing goal. Kind of similar to what I was on the line or thinking about is I want to change the world. Hold on.
You want to change the world, and what else? Or is that it? I think that's enough said.
Yeah, actually, enough said.
Now, along what lines do we change the world? Because I have the same goal as you.
All right, go ahead and say yours then. Along changing the world.
When we were at dinner a week ago, almost a week ago, we discussed the problems of environmental change and how renewable energy is going to have to be a problem. I want to solve the world's largest problems so that they don't have to be dealt with anymore. That's how I'm going to change the world.
That's amazing. I like it. I think to build on what you're saying is my goal was kind of to change the world and to impact history. I want to change in the world for the better that will impact the rest of the timeline for the human race.
Okay. That's beautiful.
I think it's kind of similar in a way, but yeah.
Okay. I get it completely. What makes you want that?
I think without getting too in detail with it, it would just tie into the purpose of living.
What do you mean by that? I think we have to get a little bit deeper into it. There's no way you can say I want to change the world without telling me how you're going to do it. Well, and this is your promise right here. Because at the end of when you're 96 and I'm 90, and we're sitting in some room full of a bunch of old white guys, and they pull out this thing and they're like, "Well, you said you were going to do this. Did you do it? This is it right here."
I think ultimately what defines it for me is that you're brought into this life and your entire life you're questioning what the purpose of this life is used for. And I think my purpose is to change history or change the world.
Okay.
And it doesn't require me to be remembered for it or to make the first rocket or anything.
You don't want to be famous for it.
I don't want to. Well,
that's not the goal, but it's probably
the goal is
a side
not
effect.
Yeah, unfortunately. But it just ties down to what is the purpose of life? Are we not here to make our lives better for the next?
Yeah.
For the people after, or are we just here to use up all the resources to have the most extravagant life?
And then everybody dies eventually.
Yeah.
I actually think you bring up an important you bring up an important point.
Okay.
You bring up an important point here is the goal of an organism, regardless of the organism, is to prolong the life of the species, not of themselves. The goal as an organism isn't, oh, I need to have kids because, or I need to go do this because I want to live longer and I want to make my life great. The purpose of an organism has always been to prolong the life of the species. That's why natural selection exists. The purpose of the organism is to make the species live longer.
I think you hit it right on the nail there, because you see that example in like bees, or I might be thinking about ants.
Okay, whichever one.
Well, either or, their ultimate goal is to prolong the species, survive. That's their ultimate goal, is to survive as a species.
Not by myself.
Yeah, there's no one individual ant trying to take over the world. So it's out there exploring the world, but ultimately trying to change the species' way of living and life for the better.
Okay, and I think your goal, purpose, like, literally aligns with the purpose of an organism.
You're right.
I'm an ant. You're an ant.
My ultimate.
I'm a bee.
Yeah. Whoa.
No. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah, I think that's a great connection that we can make. Well, I mean, not great because we're just comparing ourselves to ants and bees here, but ultimately understanding that an organism as small as an ant and an organism as a human,
as large as human,
yes, correct, has a similar goal of
the
purpose of life.
We do.
Yeah,
at least we do.
Yes.
I know there's some people out there who just want to party and go to bars on Saturdays, and I want to get up.
Yes.
And then yeah, some people are like, I want a quick life, but a fun one. You know, I don't think that's selfish, but it almost is by definition.
But well, to get into it better, just because I don't believe I asked any questions about it. Do you think it's right for people with the mindset of living life or not having the same mindset as the purpose of life as for the human species? Do you think there's some individuals out there that want to survive on their own?
Oh, the exact opposite of us.
Yes, no, yeah, exact opposite of the mindset we just spoke of.
Um, do
Not
they exist?
not generally comparing it to us, just
Okay,
as the
just
mindset.
as the mindset itself. Are there people who are the exact opposite
Yeah,
way?
where's the opposite of the spectrum on that? And is
Oh,
there a
where
middle?
is it?
Yeah, is there an
Okay.
opposite or is there a middle?
The opposite is. Wow, that's tough. I mean, there's so many bad things I could say right here because, like, it's hard to not step on somebody's toes when you say the opposite of a good thing is a bad thing. I'm also not one to decide what is good and what is bad.
Well,
But
that's why.
generally, just what's the opposite side of the spectrum when it comes to I want to prolong the life of the species and affect everyone positively?
Hold on. Sorry to cut you off,
You're
but do
fine.
you
You're fine.
believe that is just maybe that's just the middle of the spectrum? Then there is no opposite. Before you answer that,
Perhaps, maybe it's like an ocean and less like a river.
okay. Can you elaborate on
That
that?
might be the greatest thing I've
Can you
ever
elaborate a little bit on that, just so everyone here in this room is completely understanding?
said. Okay.
All these people.
There's not really a middle to an ocean.
Ah, yes. Okay.
There's just a bunch of places in it.
Mm-hmm.
Now there are some places near each other that are similar, and there are some places far from each other that are not so similar, but they're all still in the ocean. You go to the beginning of the river, you go to the end of the river.
Yes.
Two different things. You go to the middle of the river, it's in between. But I think it's more like an ocean of opinions, not a river of them.
I think
Where you can draw a clear line between them. I very much believe it is more like an ocean and not a river.
that is a great connection that you brought up, because I think the purpose of life, that mindset that we brought up or spoke about, is an ocean, as you're correctly, or as you are describing it. And when we were talking about politics, that is a river. Like the left
At least in the United States, it's a river.
will. Oh yes, yes. Actually, in our way of understanding the politics in the U.S., yes.
Yeah.
It's a river.
Because there are only two sides.
Yes.
And you can lie in the middle, you can lie more to one side, but there's no
Ocean.
I'm over you guys are on the east coast of this ocean. I'm actually in the Marianas Trench at the very bottom.
Right.
There's none of that.
Yeah,
no,
yeah.
it's you're somewhere on this spectrum of beliefs, and that's what it is. I think when it comes to the purpose of life, it is definitely an ocean. Do I think there's something far from it? I mean, wanting to hurt everybody is obviously the opposite of what we want to do, or I mean, what that mindset entails.
Mm-hmm.
Not even connecting it to myself. I think wanting to hurt people or wanting to just live your life as whatever it is are two things that are dissimilar to what that mindset entails.
Okay. Yeah.
Is there anything else you wanted out of that one?
Well, I was gonna ask. I kind of wanted a thought process or just some insight on. Do you think we could apply that ocean? We're just gonna call it the ocean mindset.
Yeah, the ocean concept.
Ocean concept of the purpose of life, correct? For the human species or the organism as a species, the survival of the organism as a species. Jeez.
Okay. No, I don't think there is, because there's no organism on the planet. To my knowledge, again, I'm not a biologist, but to my knowledge, there is no organism whose goal is not to prolong the life of the species. Even when a lion eats its babies, it's not to. Yeah,
I did not know
lions
that,
will
but
straight up eat a cub if they're starving, because it's more likely that the lion with all of the experience goes on to procreate with another another female lion that it finds, than for the cub to find enough food to grow up. I don't think there's any example, to my knowledge, in all of biology that an organism doesn't make a choice to prolong the existence of the species in a better manner.
Okay, I'm glad we are in agreement because I was trying to lead into the question of, do you think you can apply this ocean mindset to the political situation that we were talking about earlier?
Absolutely. And I think America and the United States, it's more properly known as the United States,
Okay.
is on the way to becoming a political ocean and not a political river. You know what I mean?
Yes. What signs have you seen that lead to this?
Because libertarianism is growing, and libertarianism has beliefs from both sides, but doesn't necessarily lie on both sides. So we may go from being a river to being a triangle, but at least the triangle is not double-sided. At least there's three sides. You know, we can agree with some of these things, but we don't agree with some of these things. We can agree with some of those things, but not agree with some of those things. And we're on this side of the ocean.
Mm-hmm.
We're on this side of the lake.
Right.
You know, it's not as big as an ocean yet, but it's a lake. France, actually, and a lot of European countries have over 20 political parties. Yeah.
That I did not know.
Yeah, that sounds obscene to us as Americans. Doesn't it?
Yes.
Doesn't it sound absolutely absurd to have more than 20 political parties? I think it's France who has 36.
I think just even trying to do the research on more than two parties kind of just makes me uneasy a little bit.
Well, it actually, the way they look at it is their politics are kind of true in a way that you put your beliefs into like a test, and it gives you back what political party you align with the most. And only people who align with those beliefs are going to join that party because there's 36 of them.
Yes.
Not 2 of them. I can be a Democrat, just for example, not that I am.
Mm-hmm.
I can be a Democrat and run for office in a Republican state, or I can run as a Republican and just say that my beliefs are that way and try to use that and also get the other side in because I'm a Democrat, and I can do both now in a country with only 2 places, with only 2 sides, right? But it's more advantageous to me if there are 36 political parties to stay with the party I'm in and try to get as much as I can from everybody else to just come believe me.
Right. Okay.
It is way less advantageous to try to switch parties and gain supporters from 1/36th of the country than it is to try to get votes from 50% of the country. Because then that means if you have your entire party and one person from the other side, that's the majority already. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I
So,
think you're
in a
hitting it right on
way,
the dot.
having an ocean of politics is always going to beat out having a river because it makes the politics more pure. In my opinion, in my small amount of thought process just right now.
And I think that there's a way to tackle the questions more specifically, like with that questionnaire you're saying, because there's some questions that you might align with on the left, and then some might align with on the right, but at the final end of the questionnaire, it says you're right.
Yeah, exactly. Now you need to be 25% left and 75% right, and that's a whole new set of people.
Yeah. Yeah,
and then
exactly.
The 3366 people are a whole new set of people.
Mm-hmm.
And they're fighting for their beliefs. That's why places like France have 36 political parties.
Okay.
And it also, okay, if we look at it like this, if we have a pie, right? We have a like Hunger Games, the districts, how they're all pizza slices.
Yeah.
Right? We have all the people in district number 4 who were close to 5 and close to 3. If someone in 4 gets elected, 5 and 3 are still pretty close to that, so they're going to agree.
I didn't think about that, actually. Yeah, because then it goes back to what we were talking about. If someone's opposing completely, because it's left and it's right. Someone gets voted in left, and right is going to completely oppose. But if we get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 3 gets voted, 2 and 4 are going to vote or agree, most definitely, and then you'll have 1 of 5. That's still majority of the odds.
Yeah, exactly.
More so than left and right.
Now, let's think about it this way again. When you put it left and right, everybody's opposed to everybody. Or everybody on this side is opposed to everybody on this side, right?
Correct.
Okay, if I'm in party number 4 and party number 5 right next to me agrees with me on a lot of stuff, but only disagrees with me on a little bit. Okay, number 6, that's kind of far.
Yeah.
We still agree on some things, but it's kind of hard to agree on more things than with 5. Now, 7 is on the other side of the circle.
Okay.
It's across halfway. In America, they would be completely opposed to everything that I say. But because they have connections with 6 so closely, and they see that 6 agrees with 4, they're more likely to want to compromise because they see you as reasonable people for working with the people they're reasonable with.
That's impressive. That's almost like a psychology kind of aspect.
Yeah,
to that.
I basically just threw my only psychology knowledge right into that. And guess what? I'm not a psychologist, so I'm probably wrong.
Yeah, Psych 101, guys, so take notes here.
Yeah, no, there's probably someone in Psych 101 who's like, he's actually wrong. They're going to... 4 minus 6 is -2, so 7's not going to agree.
Exactly. I love the voice change. That's exactly how they sound if they study psych.
Don't you want to study psych,
Well, I
perhaps?
don't sound like that, I imagine.
Regardless of that, this has been a wonderful episode.
Goodness gracious. Yes.
We're going to go to sleep.
I'm asleep
For
good.
Sure.
I think we covered a good list of topics there. Just to list them off.
We started off with what it's like being a soldier and how your week was.
Oh, yeah. Well, very specifically, started out with what it is being a soldier, how my week was. Then we moved on to the gym, as well as the gym, physical training in the military.
As well as a mentality
That
you should have at the gym.
Yes. Oh, I think that was a big one, personally, but that's
Personally,
biased.
you think
That's
that's
a biased. I apologize.
Oh, okay. After the gym, I believe we hopped into... what was it? What was next? College.
Oh, yes, college.
We talked about what you want to learn, computer science and stuff. We talked about a little bit of physics with me and Columbia and stuff.
Yeah, and then we moved on into physics.
Yeah, we moved on into physics for a little bit, and you asked me questions about space and stuff. And then we got back to talking about Afghanistan and politics as a soldier. How there's no politics on base, and that's the coolest thing to me.
Really?
All right. And then we ended off on goals in life.
Goals in life, which I definitely want to highlight that you mentioned the ocean mindset, like comparing it to an ocean and comparing it to a river. That was absolutely impressive. I think that's something I could definitely take from this podcast.
Yes.
As a
take
speaker.
the ocean concept to everybody.
Exactly.
Because
start inspiring people.
Yeah.
I'll start my cult and I'll finally be able to just take over the...
One of us. One of us.
Somebody will get that reference. Beautiful.
Anyways, yeah, this has been a wonderful episode. I definitely want to end it off with one piece of advice since I am talking to a soldier. Jocko Willink, in his book Leadership Strategies and Tactics, said that being a good subordinate will always lead to being a good leader. Is that statement true?
Absolutely. I totally agree, and I don't know how to say his name. I'm not
Jocko Willink.
Yeah, that guy. He definitely has some great material. I want to agree, like a great follower makes a great leader, but a great leader, or a correction, you need a great follower to be a great leader. We'll just leave it at there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wonderful. And that is very quickly saying that great leaders are those who do the most, not those who necessarily have the most accomplishments for leading.
Mm-hmm.
You know, sometimes a great follower becomes a great leader, and they continue to be a great leader for so long. I think being great has to do with your longevity as a leader, not the severity of the things you do as a leader. Because you can be tyrannical.
Yeah, exactly.
But you're only going to be there for 3 days. Or you're going to be there forever and everybody's going to know you're a tyrant.
Pretty much.
Or you can be a great leader and do great things for a long time.
Yes, I think that's a perfect way to put it.
And that's it. I'm your host, Sosaia Talanoa. This has been episode 13 of the Mixed Wash Podcast. And this is Christian Gogo, signing us out.
Later.